Good people, what is going on? Another episode of the All Good Podcast. I'm your host, Desmond. Thank you for tuning in. Go ahead and subscribe while you're here. You're here, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell notification. Post videos daily. So go ahead and do that for me. Appreciate it. Want to talk about the big victory that the Detroit Lions had over the Baltimore Ravens. Final score was 38-30. And before the game, I had said that this was a huge game, that the Lions could get a little bit of their swagger back. The Ravens are a team that typically, since Lamar Jackson has been there, I believe their record was 24-2 against NFC opponents. And I think a good chunk of that is just you don't see those opponents that often, right? You don't play as many AFC teams as far as the crossovers, and you're just not used to game planning that. And then also, too, Lamar Jackson is just a dynamic athlete, possibly one of the most dynamic athletes we've ever seen at the quarterback position. But what I will say is one name that I don't think I've been hearing enough when it comes to the analysis of this game is Kelvin Shepherd. Now, I was on his head in that Green Bay game for seeing Aiden Hutchinson and the now injured Marcus Davenport dropping into coverage against Green Bay. Didn't love that, and it was actually addressed. I believe he mentioned it, that, we tried it, didn't work. We're not going to do that. But his game plan against Lamar was dynamic. It was incredible. That Lamar seemed to be kind of just either frustrated, flustered, kind of off rhythm almost the entire game, but especially in that second half. But it was like every time he was just pressing, and not sure why that was. Maybe because they were, 1-1 and it was a big game for them. But it was one of those things where although he threw the ball pretty darn well, he never really quite got into rhythm in the game. And the Lions just did a great job of the pass lane integrity as far as the defensive linemen. They weren't running past him so he could just, make a quick move and be gone. Right? They stayed in those rush lanes and didn't give him really big gaps to run through. And then they also had a spy as well, which historically our defensive coordinators have been a little hesitant to do that with rushing or quarterbacks who can run, athletic quarterbacks. And I just thought the way that the D-line played, just an unrelenting effort. It was just nonstop the entire time. And just the strategy that the Lions, played with defensively, I thought was terrific. Kelvin Shepherd, like I said, can't say enough about his strategy, their execution defensively. He was terrific. He was terrific. So yeah, no, he's I think the first one who needs some kudos, because like I said, not enough people have talked about that. Also too, it's so interesting that, and I knew it was going to happen. I sent a tweet yesterday that said, Lions fans, be prepared. The talk in the media, the shows and all that, it's not going to be the Detroit Lions are a really good team. It's going to be what's wrong with Baltimore and can they get it fixed, blah, blah, blah. And that's exactly what it's been as well. So, but to focus on the Lions as a team, I think one of the best things about that win is multiple things. Number one, standalone game. Like when it's you're the only team that's playing, only two teams that are playing, and the entire NFL is watching you, I think is a huge bonus, huge plus. But number two is the Lions won that game their way. Like, they didn't have to do anything outside of their character. they did what they love to do: run the ball, play action, throw a couple trick plays in there, here and there, and score. Just really lean on their offensive line, lean on their weapons, lean on their run game, and they bullied the Ravens, just flat bullied them, which is not something that most people saw coming. But it's one of the reasons why I had the confidence that I did in the Lions. Is while I know Ben Johnson is moving on and he was a terrific offensive coordinator, he wasn't taking Jared Goff or Amon-Ra St. Brown or Jamison Williams or Gibbs with him. He was moving and leaving, but our athletes, our players were staying. Right? It's similar, or the opposite of when Lincoln Riley left Oklahoma and then, went to USC and took Caleb Williams with him. Right? This isn't that situation. We still have some really high-level players offensively, defensively as well, but specifically on the offensive end that some teams would kill for. So I just felt like we had the foundation needed to be a successful team, which is why, that Green Bay loss was so just kind of wild as far as for me mentally. But the team just did a great job, and they did it their way. It wasn't we didn't win by trickery. We just out-physicaled the Ravens. And once again, huge win. Because and the reason it's such a big win is because if before the game, if you're a Lions fan, before the game, if I would have told you, hey, the Lions are going to lose, you'd been like, yeah, I get it. Ravens are a good team, blah, 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 so on and so forth. Like, you could easily come up with reasons why the Lions should win that game, meaning that Baltimore is a really good team, right? On the road, they are perennially a top 4 team, winning that division pretty regularly, right? So the fact that they did that, went on the road, won that game, Monday night game, standalone, and did it their way and out-physicaled them, it gave, to me, the Lions remembered who they were. And it was great to see. Absolutely great to see. So that just super excited. Get a little bit of they got, who do they play Sunday? The Browns, I believe. I think they play the Cleveland Browns on Sunday. So it was big. And from what I can recall, which is another big thing, is no injuries. From what I recall, Marcus Davenport is injured, and I'm not even going to really get into that just because it's so frustrating. It was something that I talked about on this channel all summer, from multiple guys that I listed, just to bring in for depth, because you just never know with Marcus Davenport. And what do you know? He got hurt. So also, one last thing on that is I saw on a different channel, actually Lion Syndicate, shout out to Derek, but he mentioned the Davenport thing, the whole situation is not on Dan Campbell. Dan's not responsible for the roster, picking the player, signing the player, so on and so forth. Dan and Brad work pretty closely together, so I do get that part, but it's the GM's job to sign players. So, is what it is. Anyway, so that is that. Saw some tragic news yesterday that Rudi Johnson, the Auburn running back, and also Cincinnati Bengals running back, was found deceased, and the early reports were that it seemed to be self-inflicted. Just a sad situation. He, once he retired, didn't really hear much from him, but just tragic. I have actually a story. I never met him or anything like that, but when I was a freshman in high school down at Daleville High School in Daleville, Alabama, our head coach at the time Coach Ben Harris, which shout out to him. I believe he just recently got inducted to like a Hall of Fame in Alabama. But he took our team to go see an Auburn game. So we had actually, he had our jerseys on and hopped on school buses. Then this would have to be, around 2000, 2001, something around there. But it's actually the first college football game I've ever been to. And Auburn was playing at home. I'm not quite sure who they were playing. But the reason I remember it is twofold. Number one, it was so hot. It was so hot in that stadium. But number two, just Rudi Johnson was the star of that team. And every single carry that he had, the entire stadium was yelling, Rudi, Rudi, like nonstop. And it was just kind of cool to be in that, kind of environment as a really young player. I don't know, 13, something like that, 12, 13, 14 years old. And it was really cool to see like just a star. And that was also like my first college football game that I've ever been to. I've only been to like a handful of them, but rest in peace to Rudi Johnson. Like I said, Cincinnati Bengals running back, Auburn Tigers running back as well. So peace to him and his family and his loved ones. It's a tragic situation. So I will end it on that. And that is it for me. Peace.